Hello, and welcome. Ken Weller here. Now, I've spent a fair bit of my life behind the wheel of just about everything with an engine, and more recently, a battery. And while the quiet hum of an electric vehicle has its charms, there's a rather large, inconvenient elephant in the room, or rather, at the service station. Let's talk about why charging your EV away from home is a proper nightmare. And it's not just about the cost. It's a multi-layered cake of frustration. A symphony of broken chargers, baffling apps, and the sort of planning that would make a military strategist break out in a cold sweat. It's a modern-day motoring headache that nobody seems to want to talk about honestly. So, today we're going to peel back the layers of this electrifying onion. We'll dive into the nitty-gritty of why a simple journey can turn into an epic saga of hope, despair, and ultimately a desperate search for a working plug socket. Forget the glossy brochures and the optimistic range figures for a moment. This is the reality of EV ownership on the open road, a world where you're not just a driver, but a part-time electrical engineer, a data analyst, and a professional gambler. It's a journey into the heart of the EV revolution's biggest growing pain, and believe me, it's a bumpy ride. We're going to break down the 9 circles of EV charging hell. From the initial hopeful search for a location to the soul-crushing realization that your car's usable range is a fraction of what you were promised. This isn't about bashing electric cars. They are, in many ways, at least part of a possible future. But it's about giving you the unvarnished truth, the stuff you need to know before you find yourself stranded at a windswept service station at 2 a.m. with a dead battery and a dying phone. So buckle up, plug in if you can, and let's get started. Right, first things first, finding a charging location. You'd think in this day and age, with EVs popping up everywhere, that finding a charger would be as easy as finding a petrol station. Oh, how wrong you'd be. It's less like finding a petrol station and more like a treasure hunt designed by someone who actively dislikes you. You can't just decide to stop when you're feeling a bit low on juice. No, you have to plan your entire journey around these elusive charging spots. You're glued to your apps, cross-referencing maps, trying to find a charger that's not miles off your route in a dodgy-looking car park behind a pub that closed in 2008. And this isn't just a casual glance at the map. This is meticulous, painstaking planning. You have to consider your car's range, the day's weather, because a cold snap can slash your range dramatically, and the potential for traffic jams. You become a logistical expert overnight. A simple trip from London to Manchester suddenly requires the sort of strategic foresight usually reserved for invading a small country. You're constantly asking yourself, will that charger be available? Will it be on the right side of the motorway? What if it's out of order? It's a constant source of low-level anxiety that petrol car drivers simply never have to experience. The freedom of the open road feels ironically rather tethered. So you found a location, brilliant, pat yourself on the back. But your quest is far from over. Now you face the second challenge, finding a charger that actually works with your car and your schedule. It's not as simple as plugging it in. You're confronted with a bewildering array of connectors, CCS, JDMO, Type 2. It's an alphabet soup of standards, and then there's the power rating. Is it a 7 kilowatts low charger that'll have you camping overnight? A 22 kilowatt fast one? Or the Holy Grail, a 50 kilowatt, 150 kilowatt, or even a 350 kilowatt rapid or ultra-rapid charger. There are at least 5 common speeds, and each has a dramatic impact on your day. The confusion doesn't stop there. You've got the AC versus DC dilemma. Most home and destination chargers are AC, which is slower because your car's onboard converter has to change it to DC to charge the battery. The big rapid chargers you find at service stations are DC, pumping power directly into the battery for a much quicker top-up, but you need to know what your car can actually handle. Plugging a car with a max charge rate of 50 kilowatts into a 350 kilowatt ultra-rapid charger won't make it charge any faster, but you'll almost certainly be paying a premium for the privilege. It's a minefield of technical jargon that leaves the average driver utterly baffled. Now let's talk about time, the one thing you can't get back. How long you're tethered to that charging post completely dictates your plans. If you've managed to find a 7 kilowatt charger, you might as well check into a local hotel. You're looking at hours, not minutes, to get any meaningful range. Even a so-called rapid 50 kilowatt charger will take a good 40 minutes to an hour to get you from 20% to 80%. That's a long time to be loitering in a service station, nursing an overpriced coffee and trying to look busy. It turns a quick splash and dash into a full-blown lunch break, whether you're hungry or not. But here's the kicker. Chasing the fastest charge isn't always the best idea. Constantly hammering your battery with ultra-rapid DC charging can be bad for its long-term health. Think of it like only ever eating fast food. It's quick and convenient, but it's not doing you any good in the long run. The heat generated by very fast charging can degrade the battery cells over time, reducing its overall capacity and lifespan. So you're caught in a paradox. You need to charge quickly to save time on your journey, but doing so too often could damage the most expensive component of your car. It's a compromise that adds yet another layer of stress to the experience. You've done everything right. You've found a station, it has the right plug, and it's an ultra-rapid beast promising lightning-fast speeds. You plug in, tap your card, and the charging rate is pathetic. You're promised 150 kilowatts, but the screen is showing a measly 40 kilowatts. What's going on? Welcome to the wonderful world of power sharing and grid limitations. Many charging stations, especially those with multiple bays, have to split their total power output between the cars that are plugged in. So if you pull up next to another EV, your charging speed can plummet. It's not just other cars either. The entire system can be throttled. If the local electricity grid is under heavy load, the charging provider might slow down all the chargers to prevent an outage. Your car's own battery temperature can also be a factor. If it's too cold or too hot, the battery management system will automatically slow the charging rate to protect it, so that advertised top speed is more of a theoretical maximum, a best-case scenario that you'll rarely, if ever, achieve in the real world. You're paying for a gourmet meal and getting a lukewarm pasty. It's deeply, deeply frustrating. Deeply. The providers. You see, it's not one happy family of chargers out there. It's a fragmented tribal landscape of competing companies, each with its own app, its own membership card, and its own payment system. It's not like petrol, where you can just pull up to any Shell, BP, or Texaco and pay with your bank card. In the EV world, you might need an Ionity account, a PodPoint app, a BP Pulse card, a Shell Recharge fob, an Osprey login. The list is endless and utterly exhausting. Your phone becomes cluttered with a dozen different apps, all demanding your personal details and payment information. This creates a ridiculous situation where you might find a perfectly good empty charger, but you can't use it because you're not a member of that specific network. You're standing there with a nearly flat battery, looking at a working charger that might as well be on the moon. You then have to faff about trying to download yet another app, create an account and add your credit card details, all while standing in the rain. It's a system that feels designed to be as inconvenient as humanly possible, a digital barrier to entry that makes you long for the simple analog days of just putting a nozzle in and squeezing a handle. Let's talk about money. With a petrol car, the price is displayed in giant numbers on a sign you can see from half a mile away. You know exactly what you're paying per litre before you even pull in. With EV charging, it's often a complete lottery. You can pull up to a charger with absolutely no idea what it's going to cost you. Is it a per kilowatt hour rate? Is there a connection fee? Are you paying by the minute? Is there an overstay penalty? Sometimes the only way to find out is to start the charge and hope for the best, which is a terrible way to manage your finances. The pricing is not just opaque, it's wildly inconsistent. One charger might be 45 pence per kilowatt hour, while the one a mile down the road is 79 pence. The rapid chargers on the motorway are almost always eye-wateringly expensive, usually costing more per mile than a petrol car. There's no regulation, no standardization, just a wild west of pricing strategies. You can't budget for it effectively. You're held captive by your low battery, forced to pay whatever the provider decides to charge at that moment. It removes all certainty and makes you feel like you're being taken for a ride, quite literally. Picture the scene. You've limped into the service station on your last few percent of battery. You've navigated the apps, you're prepared to pay the price, and you see the chargers, and behind them there's a queue of other EV drivers, all looking just as desperate and weary as you are. Welcome to the reality of peak-time EV travel. With the number of electric cars on the road growing far faster than the charging infrastructure, queues are becoming an increasingly common sight, especially during holidays and weekends. You could be waiting for an hour or more just to get to the front. This isn't just a boring wait, it can get tense. You're watching other people's charge percentages creep up, mentally calculating how much longer they'll be. Sometimes arguments break out. Someone might unplug their car at 81% and walk off, leaving the car blocking the bay while others are waiting. There's no system, no etiquette, just a silent, simmering resentment. It's the antithesis of the calm, serene driving experience that EVs are supposed to offer. It's stressful, inefficient, and turns a simple stop into a potential flashpoint. It's the M25 car park, but for electricity. Perhaps the most soul-destroying problem of all is arriving at a charger, often after a long detour and with a critically low battery, only to find that it's broken. It's an infuriatingly common occurrence. The screen is blank. The app says it's unavailable. The payment system won't connect, or, in a particularly galling scenario, the cable has been damaged or even stolen. These units are complex pieces of technology left out in the elements, and they are notoriously unreliable. Maintenance can be slow, with some chargers remaining out of action for weeks or even months. This isn't a minor inconvenience, it can be a genuine emergency. If that was the only charger within your remaining range, you are now officially stranded. You're left to call a recovery service, a deeply humiliating experience when you're sitting next to a shiny, futuristic piece of technology that has been defeated by a simple software glitch or a bit of vandalism. The apps that are supposed to show the live status of chargers are often inaccurate, luring you to a dead end with false promises of a working unit. It's a massive failure of the infrastructure that erodes all trust in the system. Finally, let's address the biggest lie of all, the advertised range. The manufacturer tells you your car can do 300 miles on a full charge. Fantastic. But here's what they don't tell you in the big print. To preserve the long-term health of your lithium-ion battery, you should avoid regularly charging it beyond 80% and never let it run below 20%. Every expert, every manufacturer, every EV forum will tell you this is the golden rule for battery longevity. So that 100% charge you were banking on, forget it. You're working with the 60% slice in the middle. Suddenly, your 300-mile car is, in reality, a 180-mile car for everyday, worry-free driving. That's a colossal difference. It means you have to stop to charge far more frequently than you initially thought. It makes range anxiety a constant companion on any journey that's more than a short hop. This single fact completely changes the calculation of whether an EV is practical for you. It's the most crucial piece of information for any prospective buyer, yet it's often buried in the owner's manual, an inconvenient truth that undermines the entire marketing pitch. The usable range, the real-world range, is what matters, and it's far less than you think. So there you have it, the 9 circles of public charging hell. It's a gauntlet of poor planning, broken tech, confusing standards, and frustrating queues. It's clear that while the cars themselves are becoming incredibly sophisticated pieces of engineering, the infrastructure that's meant to support them is lagging years behind. It's a patchwork quilt of problems that turns the simple act of refueling into a source of major anxiety. The dream of seamless, silent, and stress-free electric motoring is, for now at least, still just a dream when you venture far from your home charger. This isn't to say you should never buy an EV. For short daily commuting, charged up overnight at home, they are brilliant. On that basis, they can be cheaper to run, better for our cities, and quiet to drive. But the promise of true freedom, the ability to cross the country on a whim, is hampered by this chaotic and unreliable public charging network. The industry and the government need to get a grip, standardize the systems, enforce reliability, and build out a network that's fit for the 21st century. Until then, every long-distance EV driver is a pioneer navigating a flawed system with a prayer and a dozen different apps. The road to a fully electric future is a long one. And right now it's filled with potholes. But hopefully by shining a light on these issues, we can push for the changes that are so desperately needed. If you found this helpful, or if you've ever had your own EV charging nightmare, Don't forget to like and subscribe for more honest motoring advice. Thanks for watching.